Let us understand the distinguishing factor between operating lease and finance lease from the perspective of a lessor and a lessee. Okay, let us first see it from the perspective of a lessee. So under IFRS, if the risk and rights of ownership will be transferred to the lessee, then it will be termed as a finance lease. Couple of more circumstances under which it will be termed as a finance lease are: if the title of the leased asset will be transferred to the lessee at the end of the leasing period. Second is the if the leasing period covers the maximum or major portion of the economic life of the leased asset. And third is the if the purchase price, okay, if the purchase price of the leased asset by the lessee is significantly lower than the fair value of the leased asset at some future date. Okay, and fourth is the if the present value of the lease payment is significantly if the present value of the lease payment is equal to the fair value of the leased asset. Okay, under all these circumstances it will be termed as a finance lease. Under US GAAP, it is say it is they are all the same only, but they mention very specific numbers, like if the title of the leased asset will be transferred to the lessee at the end of the leasing period, then it will be termed as a finance lease. And if the leasing period covers the minimum 75% of the economic life of the asset, then it will be termed as a finance lease. If the through bargain purchase option permits the lessee, okay, to purchase the lease asset, okay, at significantly lower value than that of the fair value of the leased asset, okay, at some future date. Okay, and fourth is the if the present value of the lease payment is equal to the fair value of the leased asset, or if the this present value of the lease payment is at least 90% or above the fair value of the leased asset, then under all these circumstances they will be termed as a finance lease under US GAAP. If any of these criteria will not be met, then it will be termed as a operating lease. And lessee, they prefer this operating lease because they do not have to mention this lease liability under their liability section of the balance sheet. Now we will consider it from a lessor perspective. Under IFRS, if it is same as under IFRS, it is same as that of a lessee. That is, if the rights and risk of ownership will be transferred to the lessee, then it will be termed as a finance lease. Otherwise, it will be termed as a operating lease. And under US GAAP, if the lease payment is certain, if the payment is certain, then it will be termed as a capital or finance lease. And or if any of this criteria of the finance lease that we have already discussed under IFRS, then under US GAAP, then it will be termed as a finance lease. Otherwise, it will be termed as a operating lease. And under operating lease, the lessor will mention the rental income. Lessor will recognize the rental income and also will recognize the depreciation expense and on the income statement. And in finance lease, it will mention the lease receivables. Okay, it will mention the lease receivables on the balance sheet side. So that is about the operating lease and finance lease from the perspective of a lessor and a lessee. Thank you very much.